Hello, my name is Justin Molina. The company I chose to analyze was Pfizer. Now, over the past 5 years, Pfizer has experienced revenues of $50 billion a year and over. Now, what makes Pfizer so prosperous in a dying economy? Well, there's a couple things to look at. One, the product they provide is needed. It's a necessity. It's not a want. Nowadays, we go to the doctor, and doctors prescribe this medication. Pfizer gives us these medications, and some of us as citizens aren't able to afford these medicines. So, government comes to the aid. When government pumps money into a specific resource, the price of that goes up. And since government's pumping money into the pharmaceuticals, like Pfizer, they're able to prosper. Now let's take a look at the quarterly reports for Pfizer. I got this information from the Pfizer website. Some of these numbers may seem a bit far-fetched, but it's the only reliable information that we have at the moment. So in 2011, we experienced revenues of $16.5 billion, a total cost of $9.6 billion, net income of $2.2 billion, and an EPS of 0.28. When we switch to the year 2012, we have a $15.4 billion revenue, a total cost of $8.8 billion, net income of 1.8, and an EPS of 0.24. Let's now look at the changes. 2011-2012, the revenue decreased 7%, the total cost decreased 9%, the net income decreased 19%, and the EPS decreased 14%. Another information that I have here is also the stock buyback was at $1.7 billion. Their goal was to reach $5 billion at the end of it all. But let's go ahead and move on to quarter number 2. Revenues for 2011 was $16.5 billion. Total cost was $9.9 billion. Net income was $2.6 billion. And the EPS was at 1.33. Move to 2012, net income was $15.1 billion. Total cost was $8.3 billion. Net income was $3.3 billion. And an EPS of 0.43. Now, what I really want to emphasize here is the EPS, which is an increase of 30%. This is partially because they had a stock buyback of $1.3 billion, which was way less than the number we had before at 1.7. So, of course, EPS is going to increase as you purchase more stock because the price of stock increases as there's less outstanding stock. Now let's look at the quarterly reports for quarters 3 and 4. In 2011, we had revenues of $16.6 billion, a total cost of $9.5 billion, a net income of $3.7 billion, and an EPS of 0.48. In 2012, we had $14 billion as a revenue, a total cost of $8.2 billion, a net income of $3.2 billion, and an EPS of 0.43. Now the changes, 0.43. The change is a 16% decrease in revenue. In total cost, it was a 13% decrease. Net income, 14% decrease. And an EPS, 10% decrease. Now let's go to quarter number 4. In 2011, we had revenues of 16.1, a total cost of 10.6, which by the way was the highest total cost in 2011. Net income and EPS, they weren't included in the information because they included the year-to-date information. We're trying to look at quarter number 4, so we're going to go ahead and exclude that information for now. Revenues of $10.6 billion, a total cost of $9.7 billion, and a net income of $6.3 billion. Finally, the EPS of 0.85, with a stock repurchase of $3.4 billion this year, or this period. Experience large profits, they're able to purchase back stock. Now, there are several reasons why companies will want to repurchase stock. Their earnings per share could go up. Maybe their return on assets will go up as well. But Pfizer ended up purchasing a lot of stock back in 2012. Quarter number 1, they purchased $1.7 billion worth of stock. In quarter number 2, they purchased 1.3. Quarter number 3, they purchased 1.8. And in quarter number 4, they purchased $3.4 billion. Now their goal was to reach 5. With these numbers, they easily exceeded the $5 billion they were going for. Total, they ended up getting $8.4 billion worth of stock repurchase. In conclusion, Pfizer is a great company. It's thriving financially, but it's not one that's worth investing in. You're not going to see it prosper all of a sudden greatly. So if it came to investment, Pfizer wouldn't be the best, but it's a company that's going to be around for years. And that's my company analysis.